Thank you for tuning in for another podcast episode of Hangin with Mr. Francis. I'm your host, Mr. Francis. This is episode 20, Digital Footprint. Now, this episode actually is a re-recording because obviously I did not save the last episode properly and the file is corrupted and I have to re-record it. Now, I didn't really have to tell you that, but I'm just being transparent. So I kind of delayed a few things. I don't like to delay things, but it's the nature of life sometimes. Some things don't go the way you expected. Now, before we do get into this episode, I just want to say this is episode 20 once again. Now, this is a milestone for me. It's not an episode 50 or episode 100 where those milestones. This is just episode 20, and for me, that is a big deal. So I appreciate everyone and anyone who has supported the podcast up until this very moment. I truly appreciate you. Thank you for anyone who has reached out and gave their feedback. It's greatly appreciated. I have to say that it's greatly appreciated that anyone even listens. We surpassed the 200 listens barrier. That's also another goal, or I can't even think properly because I'm overwhelmed by such great. For me, this is great success, right? I started the podcast last year, May 21st, 2021. Got off to a rocky start. Originally started on Mixcloud platform. Went in 8 episodes over the next couple months after it was launched, and kind of slowed down, life, certain things of that nature. Technically, it's 9 episodes, but one of the episodes was a little something off track, which I'm going to reintroduce in the very near future. And then on episode 8, I flipped the switch earlier this year to jump over to YouTube platform, which here I am now. It's a great change. I have a little bit more to work with, more analytics compared to Mixcloud. And after porting over and recording the first episode of episode 9, I am now here at episode 20, and that's a big deal. We are now in the month of April of 2022, and about a month away from the 1-year anniversary. Let's see what number I can get before then. No rush, but to make it up to episode 20 is a great deal for me. So again, I appreciate anyone who's listened. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Good news coming soon. There's going to be a bit of a change in regards to this channel. Overall change to the channel. Also, the next episode after this will be Digital Dads Part 4. And it unfortunately will be the last episode of Digital Dads on the Hangin with Mr. Francis podcast, as that is set to change into something different. But a lot of that will be introduced or talked about in a future episode after that one. Without further ado, I've already talked to you off for the last 3 minutes and a bit. Time to jump into this episode, which is called Digital Footprint. Now I'm going to keep this nice and short, as usual, short and sweet. Don't want to bore you or have your earlobes bleed because I'm talking too much. But I'm going to talk about something that's a very sensitive issue that I feel a lot of people really should think about in this new digital age that we are in. And when you really look at it, a lot of us are not really paying attention to a lot of things that are happening. This is a very, very broad, topic of discussion, because there's a lot I can talk about with this. But I mainly want to hit it on the main thing, which is people's digital footprint. This can lead into many things, such as the ads, data, your phone, stuff of that nature. But the main aspect is all those things, your money, everything. It all will become digital. We already see it. Our money is becoming digital. Our life is becoming digital. There's the metaverse that is coming. And the reason why I bring this up is because I can't remember exactly when the Black Mirror episode came out. If those who don't know, Black Mirror is a TV series which was, I believe, released on Netflix. I think they have like 5 seasons, and I cannot for the life of me remember what season it was with this episode. So there was a particular episode, and there's a lot of episodes in it that are very thought-provoking. But there's one particular episode caught my attention, along with a lot of different things I didn't write down to reference because I'm just trying to go over this very quickly. The episode was basically, at the time I didn't know, or I didn't have something that I could have tied it to that's been a topic of discussion in real life, until time has passed, and now that enough time has passed and we see different things. And what I'm referring to is this whole situation of social credit score. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to still deny that the social credit score situation may never come to the Western civilization, such as North America, Canada, whatever it is, the US, whatever. But I can't stress this enough that if everything is going digital, right? Everything that you do, everything that you say, everything you pay for, every aspect of your life is going to, at some point or another, become digital. We already see that they're pushing towards becoming a metaverse where you're living in this digital reality, as they might say, virtual reality. And it's nothing new under the sun. I mean, they've tried multiple times to create this virtual reality situation years back, and with no prevail, obviously. Let me just make adjustments here. And it's just weird how everything is going. And the reason why I bring up this whole situation about digital footprint is because a lot of people don't realize that everything that you're doing is tracked and recorded. Whether you believe it or not, everything you do is tracked and recorded. You only need to take a step back to actually see that it is. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, it doesn't make any sense or whatever. Perfect example is you search something on your phone, or you look for a particular item, and your phone starts to broadcast these ads towards you. If that's not being tracked, then I don't know what to explain to that. But if you have another explanation, sure, whatever makes you sleep at night. Our online activity, like what we like on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I hate to name these platforms because they're not paying me to name this shit. But we use them on an everyday basis. TikTok. Well, I don't use that, but everyone uses it. Twitter, Discord, Reddit, you name it. Everybody's using some type of social media platform, and you would be very naive to think that all of your activities not tracked and documented. We live in an age where everything is online based, and if you think for a minute that nothing is tracked and recorded, then again, you're very naive. Now, where I'm going with this is that we all create a digital footprint, whether we like it or not. The problem is that we just don't know or see how much of an impact it would be maybe 5-10 years from now. Now, with social media already been around 10 plus years already, certain platforms, if you've been tracking and understanding a few things, for example, myself, I didn't use Facebook for a long period of time until most recently. I took myself off of Facebook back in 2010. I needed to do something. I came back on it in 2015. So a 5-year hiatus. I came back on it and I noticed something. It was just very different, very weird from the time I was on it. But you see, the thing is, to certain folks, they'll notice, yeah, there's changes, but they don't notice the changes as much as an individual like myself who took time off for 5 years. Because to them, those little changes don't really mean much, to be fair, right? So I noticed a lot of changes. I didn't like it. The only reason why I even went back on it was to reach out to certain family members that live far away. After that, didn't care for it, so I deactivated it again. I made my reintroduction to it, I believe, in 2020. So again, another 5-year hiatus, and it got even worse. And you can clearly see that so many things are tracked, so many things are catered to you based on your activity, and I didn't like it. And the problem is that we need to use these things because they've unfortunately become very implemented in our everyday lives. Like, you need to use it for business, for sale. Like, I remember years ago I would use Kijiji to sell stuff. Now you can sell stuff on Facebook. I know Kijiji's probably still there, but everyone flows where everyone already is, right? So millions and billions of people use Facebook, and if they have like their marketplace, who's really using Kijiji as much as they do? I know there's still people that use it because those people have already been using it, so they're more used to it. People like myself who would love to use those ones start to realize, okay, well, if I could just sell it here and it's like a one-stop shop, why not? I can get my news here, I can get this, and that's what basically, that platform has become. A lot of them are moving in that direction. It's kind of like when Walmart wasn't really a superstore where it sold all this groceries and all this other stuff, because Walmart was strictly just for certain things, and then they converted because they realized, if we have all these customers coming here, let's make it where they can come here and get almost everything: meat, groceries, produce, whatever it is. Like, when you think about it, that's essentially what Facebook has done and other media platforms are starting to do. It's like a one-stop shop place where you can get everything and anything you want. So when this happens, you're always there. And I know this is different than what it is I'm trying to get at. So I'm going to get at is what I'm saying is, with this whole digital footprint thing, it's a perfect way to segue into the whole social credit score. And now I know a lot of people will be like, well, it doesn't make sense, whatever. Okay, so let's go a little deeper. Now, before I continue, this is strictly my opinion only. This is my own thoughts I'm sharing. Whether you disagree or agree, that's totally up to you. I'm not holding a gun to your head to say, yeah, this is what you should. But anyways, moving forward. So the reason why I think this is going to be something that's going to be in the near future is because of that Black Mirror episode I watched and as I said, there's other videos that I've watched, where you get a score based on activity. Now, when you look at how social media and how the internet has become, it's become a very guideline type of place, but which was needed. Like, guidelines needed to be put in place because people became mean, people started swearing, people got racist, there was a lot of anger and unlawfulness going on online. Because, to be fair, years ago, going 10, 20 years back, the internet was a great place. Now, holy shit, the amount of negativity that has been produced on this platform or on the internet, it's mind-blowing. It can be stressful. This is what has led to a lot of mental health issues. In my opinion, people still will deny that they're not having mental, but you can look at it. But that's not the point. The point of what I'm trying to say is that when you look at the history of everything with the whole social media aspect, there's going to be some type of regulation coming in. As I said, we see with the guidelines, you can't swear, you can't say certain things on platforms anymore, which there's nothing wrong with that, because that kind of adjusts certain things. One of the things where I think the social credit score system will benefit the most is when people fake your accounts. I think that, and I don't know if I'm right, but it would make sense, is that at some point they're going to have some type of, it's like the KYC, know your customer, know your client, or whatever it is, to confirm that this is you. Just as when you see on certain platforms, you see there's a blue check mark beside your name that this is you, this is the right person, and you're going to have to register and confirm that this is you. And the reason why I say this and why I feel this way as well is when I started to come back to Facebook and I wanted to reactivate my account, they wanted me to send a government photo ID of myself to confirm who I am. That right there signified. Now they threw in like a little like, oh, you can confirm with friends or whatever it may be. I can't remember what the process was, but the part that stuck out to me, because they never asked for this in the past ever, but the part that stuck out to me was the fact that they asked me to confirm with a government piece of ID, to confirm I am this person. And that right there was the red flag, not in a bad red flag way, but that was a red flag for me, saying, oh, that social thing is probably going to come soon. Because there's a lot of people that could create all these accounts, these dummy accounts, and they want to, at some point, they're going to want to minimize and clean up how everything is. And based on your activity, those things are going to play into a lot of roles on like how you apply for things, how you create an account, you getting flagged because you're being a bully, you're going to lower your score so you can't do certain things or whatever. And we kind of seen how this kind of played into the whole like aspect of the lockdown, and then them implementing the passport situation where you can verify whether you can go into the restaurant or not. Now I know they got rid of it in certain places, but I personally feel like it was a test run. Who knows? As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, this topic of discussion is a very, very broad topic of discussion. But I can't stress it enough that people are out there just putting anything and everything online. Just because you delete something, you upload a picture or a video or whatever, and you hit delete and you don't see it with your two eyes anymore, doesn't mean it's gone off the internet. What I wonder is certain things going to be retrospected for years to determine what your score is? Like, are they going to start everyone off on a high score and then from there whatever, or are they going to use it based on your previous activity or whatever? I mean, it would make sense if you start everyone as a base score, but I highly doubt that would be the case, right? And I can't stress it enough when I try to tell certain individuals, and I try to like make subtle hints, like be careful what it is that you post online, because a lot of shit will come back and bite you in the ass, right? I know a lot of companies now do look at your social media information to see how responsible you are to get this loan or this before you get this mortgage or anything like that. And there's subtle things that indicate that this is coming down the pipeline. And I know a lot of individuals will be like, nah, that doesn't make sense or whatever. But if everything's going digital, they're going to need a sense of like, why should we consider you to give you this and certain things like that? Because at some point, things are going to become more regulated, such as how cryptocurrency is becoming more regulated. Right now, everything's a wild, wild west. Things are getting cleaned up, and the end goal is something like that in place. And I think, as I can't stress it enough, do not create a bad digital footprint for yourself. You don't know what the information you share online or what it is you post online or what it is you upload, how that's going to affect you in the future. You don't know. Like, you really don't know. Like, if you have kids and you post big booty whatever shit pictures, right? Or whatever it is, as an individual, you share these stupid things, and then your kid grows up and then they're able to see these things and like, damn, my parent or my whatever, they were really messed up. You know what I mean? Do you really want people to look back at you and see all this information about you and be like, damn, what was this person doing? But it's not really the case. I was just going on a little bit of small tangent there, but the real matter is you create a footprint. Like you take a stroll outside when it snows, or you're on the side of the beach and you walk and you create like a path behind you. as why hence the word footprint. Someone else will come along and follow that footprint, and it leads to where you are, which is why I always, again, stress that you sharing, like oversharing situations online, you could be private, great, but you're still creating a footprint no matter what, because then you can see, other people can see what it is you do, know where you live, and like geotagging and stuff of that nature. And I know everything seems cool to everyone. It's like, wow, this is amazing. Oh, this is the online universe and the metaverse and stuff. This is great. But you yourself need to be responsible for your own actions, because these things are going to come back and potentially bite you in the butt, whether you like it or not, right? Stop oversharing. No one says you can't post certain things online. No one says you can't live. Are you willing to deal with the consequences when that time comes? Because there's going to be a time where things are going to be blatantly like put in front of you, that things are being tracked, your activities being tracked. You want to travel outside the country? Okay, let's take a look at what it is that you've been doing. Do we feel that you should be able to go and leave the country? Should we keep an eye on you? Or are we already keeping an eye on you, and we see you're not doing, like, there's a lot of things. So to end the episode, be mindful of your digital footprint. Be very mindful. Right? Because you don't know who's watching. Hell, we have cameras on the front of our cell phones now. We don't know who's watching us. We just don't know, because we don't know what we don't know. And just because we don't know something, or we don't see something happening, doesn't mean it's not happening. Because the best kept secret is a secret that you don't know, because you don't have enough proof to prove that it's actually happening. But it could be, if you understand what I meant by that. So I appreciate anyone who's tuned into this episode. I would have loved to make it longer, to go deep dive into this situation, but I just want to keep it plain and simple. Look out for the next episode, Digital Dads Part 4 with Jimmy. That would be the last Digital Dads segment on this podcast of Hanging with Mr. Francis. We are planning to branch it off into something else. Haven't confirmed what the name is. Also, as I mentioned, there's other news coming of the channel change. It's nothing bad. Obviously, it's going to be something good. The podcast will continue as is. Just a few small changes to make things a little better going forward. But again, I do appreciate everyone who's tuned in this far into the podcast. This is episode 20, Digital Footprint. And what a ride it's been that we've reached 20 episodes. And where we're going beyond is certainly going to be a great thing. Appreciate everyone who stuck by, listened, supported, gave feedback, anything and everything. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you all, whoever you are. Again, I also forgot to mention I'm up to 5 subscribers. Never thought I would reach 5. So I'm aiming for 10. Baby steps, right? So again, this is your host, Mr. Francis, on the Hangin with Mr. Francis podcast, episode 20, Digital Footprint. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.